So, good evening. It is Bucky Doran with our Iowa's Virtual Dirt Track Classic, our reveal show for tonight, as we are going to let you know the drivers that have been nominated for the 2017 Virtual Dirt Track Classic presented by Bill Colwell Ford. And if your driver's not on the list, we'll let you know how you can go about trying to get them nominated for the voting, which starts on Friday. So a few things to talk about just so you understand, in case you're not familiar with what the Virtual Dirt Track Classic is. Basically, it's a fan-voted event. We have a bunch of drivers based on a few parameters. The first parameter is they have to be a resident of the state of Iowa or race on a weekly basis in the state of Iowa or a majority of the season. For example, Jeff Waterman, he lives in Quincy, Illinois, but he got 2 track championships in the state of Iowa, so that's an example of a driver that isn't from Iowa but is in the list because he did race weekly. Now, things we look at least the nominating committee, I had about 5 people, anonymous, give some suggestions, and we based most of it off track championships, national championships, and point standings and so forth. There's still an opportunity for you to get your guys in on the list. Voting-wise, we'll talk about that and also how you can get your guy added if he's not already on the list. So we'll take a look at our first round of drivers that are on this year's list. We'll start off with our modified class. Now, it doesn't matter the sanction, whether you're IMCA, USRA, Outlaw, we don't care, as long as you're out there racing and having a good time with it. So our list here consists of Chris Abelson getting a track championship and the Hawkeye Dirt Tour champion, Chris Zog, Cole Mather, Dustin Smith, Dylan Book, Jacob Murray, Jason Cummings. It was great to see I-35 Speedway when it closed that somebody came in, USRA sanctioned there, and Mason City Motor Speedway now as it's called. Jason Cummings getting the track championship there. Jeff James, talked about Jeff Waterman, Jeremy Mills, Joel Rust. Here's an example of a guy who had some key wins throughout the year. Got the first 2 wins of the Hawkeye Dirt Tour season. Was in the points right to the very end until the last night. Finished third. Plus also got the Harris Clash win. So he got nominated based on that. Josh Ruby, Mark Schulte, a 2-track champion. Mike Van Genderen, he's a track promoter most of the week, but on Saturday nights he races at Boone. Won the track championship there. Mitch Morris, winning 2 track championships. The Iowa State Fair Speedway, Nick Roberts won the modifieds there. He's on the list. Interesting that I'm sure most of the racing world knows that the Iowa State Fair board said they're suspending racing. Now there's the rumors that it may come back. I haven't seen anything substantiated. We'll see whether or not it comes back. Fingers crossed. We'll see. Red Munson, Ricky Steffen, Ron Loretzen, and Tim Ward. Now there's another example of a driver. Arizona, I guess is what you'd really call home. Does live in Iowa, at least the last couple of years, in the state, and was running weekly here. Obviously went in the Hamilton County Track Championship. All right, our next look at drivers is our late model class. Now, with the late models, this is a very small group that we have simply because there aren't a whole lot of tracks that are running it on a weekly basis. So this list is a little thin. Lots of room for guys to get added on if you have a favorite. We'll tell you how, if you don't see yours on here, how to get him nominated. Chad Halliday, Daryl DeFrance, Jake Neal, Jeff Ike, Joe Callahan, who's also now going to be a track promoter at Farley and Dubuque. You can read that story at K985.com. Just search Dirt Track Racing. Luke Godert, Matt Ryan, 3rd in points with the Deary Series. Paul Glenn Denning, Rob Tolan, Ryan Dolan getting in. Rob Tolan, by the way, I want to give a shout-out to him as one of our, I think, 4 national champions that we have on this year's list, getting the IMCA National Championship. Tyler Bruning, the Deary Brothers Summer Series champion on the list. Tyler Drosty, who's the defending champion of this event. Tommy Elston and Justin Kai were all in there. Again, since there aren't as many tracks in the state that run late models, it's a little thinner list as well. So next up on our list, we'll take a look at our stock car class. Again, if you're just tuning in, doesn't matter on the sanction, USRA, IMCA. It's just that there's more IMCA tracks in the state of Iowa, so it looks like it's maybe heavier IMCA, but that's just strictly based on the tracks in the state. Chad Palmer, Damon Murdy, David Brandes, David Smith, Devin Smith, Donovan Smith, the Smith brothers, well represented there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 track championships just in the stock car class alone. Jeff Mueller, Jerry Miles, Jerry Pilcher, John Oliver Jr. He's actually in 2 classes. We'll see him in the Sport Mod B Mod class. Justin Regardus, Kevin Dunlin, Kirk Kinsley, Kyle Falk, Lewis Lynch, looks like I spelled Lewis wrong, sorry about that. Lynn Panos, Marcus Fagan, Mike Nichols, a national champion with IMCA, Mitch Hovden, a national champion with USRA, Norman Chesmore, 2 track championships, Todd Inman and Tom Schmidt making the list for the stock cars. Moving on now to our hobby stock class. Benji Irvine making the list. Cody Nielsen, Corey Madden, Daniel Smith, Dustin Griffiths, Dylan Fitzpatrick, Eric Stanton, Jason Cole, John Watson, Kyle Voringer, Luke Ramsey, Matt Whitey making the list there. Miles Michelle, Nathan Ballard, Quentin Miller, Scott Spildy, Shannon Anderson, and Weston Coop, which is one of my favorite names to say. And our final group, now with IMCA, it is a sport mod. With USRA, it is a B mod. And it doesn't matter what the sanction is, like I said, so we just combine them all together with our sport mod B mod class. Top of the list there is Clint Llewellyn, and then you have Curtis Vanderwall, Dalton Simonson, Doug Smith, another one of the Smith brothers, Gage Neal, Jack Housley, Jared Van Diest, Jason McDaniel, Jim Gillenwater, John Oliver, mentioned him, that's his second one there, Jonathan Logue, Kyle Anderson, Mitch Van Engen, Nate Chowder, Nick Meyer, Ryan Jenkins, Tony Olson, who was a national champion, and he's also the defending champion of this event. Troy Hovey, Ty Griffith, and Tyler Soppe. Interesting with Tony Olson and Tyler Soppe, those two raced basically in the same area and were both in the national championship hunt right until the very end. And basically, I think it came down to track championships, but a great spirited battle where those two actually started. Let's see. So between now and Thursday at 4 p.m. is when you can do that nomination process. If you see a driver that you think should be added, by all means do it. But you have until about 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon. Because on Friday morning at 6 a.m., that's January 27th, our first round of voting begins. We're going to be 3 rounds, not pimping off NASCAR. I made my decision on the format long before NASCAR made their big announcement today. And after the first round, we're going to eliminate some drivers. On February 3rd, that's a Friday, we'll be down to our top 12 drivers. Round 3, we will be on February 10th, and that'll be down to our top 6 drivers. And then on February 17th, we'll announce our winners for Iowa's Virtual Dirt Track Classic. With our Iowa's Virtual Dirt Track Classic presented by Bill Colwell Ford. And we have 5 classes: modifieds, late models, stock cars, hobby stocks, and sport mods, B mods. Your votes power the drivers. The more votes they get, the faster they go. K985.com is one of the participating stations. KOEL.com is another participating station. KCRR.com and also Q923.net is where you can find all of the details. We'll have updates throughout the voting process, which, as you see, begins on Friday.